welcome. We're going to do a little flow this morning just to get the body moving and warm the body a little bit. We're into winter, so the body can start to feel a little cooler, and a nice way to start the day and warm things up by honouring or visualising the sun. So we'll do a little mini sun salutation along with a modified version of a sun salutation. We just come into a cross-legged position if that works for you. You could leave the legs out straight if you've got anything going on in the knees and it doesn't feel comfortable to sit cross-legged. You can always have one leg out straight as well if you've got a knee problem. And just find a nice long spine. So we're looking to have the sense that the crown of the head is kind of floating above the pelvic bowl. And there is some effort in sitting upright when we don't have support behind us. So you need to just engage the core region. So the core region is not just our abdominal muscles pulling back. The core region is also part of the muscles in our back anatomy. So just have a sense of corseting around that area, and the ribs draw back as you lift the lower ribs up and away from the hips. Often when we do that, we pop the ribs forward. So just make sure those front ribs are knitting towards each other, and then we want to broaden across the collarbones so we get this nice wide chest. Often in today's life we're doing a lot of this, so we can get quite closed in the pec muscles across the front of the chest, which means we can't take nice full deep breath. So we want to expand across the collarbones and have a feeling that someone's just come and put their hands on your shoulder blades behind you and is gently pressing those forward just to help support you. And then lift the crown of the head up as if there's a string tied to the center of the skull that's drawing you up slightly, and that's creating length in the back of the neck and keeping the chin just slightly dropped or about parallel with the floor. And if you're practicing with me early, you're probably not long being out of bed, so the body could feel a little stiff. You're closing the eyes and you could still feel a little sleepy or a little tired. If it's later in the day that you're coming in, you could have more of a sense of anxiety, or the body could have been pretty active and busy. Just notice what breath you're bringing with you on the mat today. Where is the breath moving? One of the key elements in yoga, even though we take these shapes and move into certain postures, is to really become aware of breathing and breathing well. Notice if your breath just moves into the upper chest or if it just moves into the belly. And see if you can expand the breath to fill the entire torso, bottom to top. Just for a few cycles, making the inhale and the exhale the same length. When we work with Vinyasa or flow yoga, we are starting to link our movement and our breath together. Vinyasa means to move in a special way, and that special way is moving with our breath. And then you can either keep the eyes open or closed. Reach the fingertips out alongside the hips. I'm sitting up onto some props today, so if you're up high, the fingertips may not reach the floor. We turn the biceps out. So again, when we reach the arms down, often we start to collapse into the front of the chest. So by turning the biceps out, we start to keep that nice sense of broadness. And sometimes once we get contact with the floor, it feels like we can sneak a little bit taller in the spine. We've got the support of the earth. spin the biceps forward. Again, just notice the breath for a few rounds. And then we're just going to turn the palms to face up. Inhale, reach the arms up. Hands come to touch if they can, and then let them just come down through the center. Do that a few rounds, just bringing some movement into the shoulder joint, into the neck, looking up, and then hands back to prayer. One more, sweep the arms up, and then exhale. Now move from side to side, so inhale, raise the arms up. On the exhale, we take the right hand down to the floor and we lean the left arm across to the right, heavy through that left hip. Press into the floor on the inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, drop the left hand outside of that left hip, reaching across towards the left. Inhaling, moving with that breath. And exhale, hand comes down, reach to the right. Inhale, raise up. Exhale, over to the left. Really anchor down that right sit bone. Inhale, lifting up. We're going to hold this time. So drop that right hand down. Press into the floor and drop your left hip back towards the floor or to whatever it is you're sitting on. Wrap your right elbow in towards the body. So again, you get this broadening across the front of the chest. And then you want to spin the pinky side of the raised arm down towards the floor. So we create space in the shoulder, and then feel as if you're trying to plug that left arm back down into the arm socket. You can look down at the floor, it's probably the safest place for the neck for most of us. And then big full breath into that left side, really waking the body up by using breath. And then pressing into that right hand to lift you up, raise the arms up. Exhaling over to the left hand comes down to the floor. We tuck that left elbow in so it moves in towards the body. And then press into it so that you send that right hip now down to anchor heavily into the floor or the blocks. Spin the pinky side down of that right arm and then draw that arm down. Create space between the ear and the shoulder. Nice big full breath here. You may notice a difference between one side and the other. One more breath. And then we press to inhale, raise the arms up, and then bring the hands back down through center. We're just going to change the cross of the legs or the position of the legs. So if you're doing something that is asymmetric, then just switch over. If you're in a symmetrical pose, you could just change position or give the legs a little wriggle. And just crossing the legs can feel completely different. In our flow practice, a little different from yin, we want to start to become quite active through the feet. So pressing the toes back so that they move towards the knees. We're looking to cross the shins rather than cross the ankles. And often in our yin practice we can be much more relaxed, but much more active in the legs. Again, fingertips reach down alongside, draw the front ribs back, tuck the navel back, lift those lower ribs up away from the hips, biceps turn, long spine. And then we're going to inhale, raise the arms up, exhale, turn the torso to the right, keep the elbows wide and draw them down as if you're pulling through a weight. Inhale, hands to prayer, above the head if they will, and then the exhale, we turn to the left. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, turn those left ribs forward, right ribs back, squeeze the navel back. Inhale, back to center. Exhale to turn. We're using our internal core muscles, our internal levers. Come back to center. So I'm going to exhale to the right and just pause here. Keep breathing. So see if you can keep turning the torso, keep turning the upper chest towards that right side. We're engaging our abdominal muscles and our obliques to get us to do this. And we'll add the arms shortly, and you'll probably feel a difference when we add the arms. So bring your right hand down behind you. If it reaches the floor, great. If not, no problem, just tuck it back. And then that left hand's going to come up and over the right thigh. Look for a little more length, and then once we've got the arms there, usually we can go a little deeper, but it's often because we're using our external levers, the arms, rather than using our core. So keep that core work going. Always want to maintain a long spine when we twist. So the inhale, we keep looking for length as if we're trying to reach the crown of the head up into the sky. And then as we exhale, often as the breath empties, we can turn a little further. Don't just crank the neck around. Make sure you're following the movement of the shoulders and the torso. Inhale, come back to center. Bit of work in the core there when we do that. And then exhale, turn to the left. Shoulders slide away from the ears. Crown of the head is reaching up. Drawing the left ribcage back, right ribcage forward. One side could be quite different to the other as per most poses. The navel is squeezing in to help to turn us using our oblique abdominal muscles. And then left hand back behind you, right hand up and over. Hold the shoulders away from the ears, look for a little more length. And then just notice how much further are you able to turn when you add the arms. Check and see that you're not just losing the work in the core though. And then bring it back to center. Raise the arms up. Exhale back to prayer position. So we're going to just again uncross the legs, reach them out in front, give them a little bit of movement, flex and point. And tuck the feet off to one side. We'll come into a tabletop position, get ready to do a little bit of flow, a little more movement. So if it's okay for you to sit back onto your heels, go for it. If that feels a little challenging, you could lift up a little taller. We want a bit of space on the mat. We're going to reach the fingertips alongside, take an inhale, and then as you exhale, fold forward and reach the arms out in front of you. Take a breath here. If you're upright, I'll just show you that. If you're more upright, then the hips are going to stay high. So you'd inhale, and then hips would stay high. And then just walk the hands back towards you. Hands come in under the shoulders, and then hug the elbows in towards you. So effort in the arms. Don't just kind of draw yourself up without using the arms. Squeeze the arms in towards the body. Press the hands into the floor, and then lift the head away from the floor and reach the crown of the head forward. And then we press up, using the arms to lift you. Build some strength in the arms without too much weight. So we're going to inhale, raise the arms up, we'll lift up. Exhale, send the hips back, reach the arms forward. And we're going to inhale up into a tabletop position. Hands in under the shoulders, knees in under the hips. Spin the biceps forward. Imagine you're hugging a block between the forearms. Don't let the lower belly collapse yet. Draw the front ribs towards the back ribs. Again, we build strength in the arms, but we want structure and stability. So spinning the elbow creases forward is going to protect the shoulders. Pressing the inner hand down into the floor is going to protect the wrists. And now we'll just take some cat-cow. So inhale, let the sitting bones lift, heart slides forward, look forward, and then exhale, press the floor away, round through the spine. Think Halloween cat, push the upper back towards the ceiling. Inhale, so you can keep the arms straight as you move through this flow. And then exhale, round through the spine. The hips move back a little. Inhale, feel the hamstrings lengthen, let the belly drop, feel the heart slide forward as we take a back bend. And then press the floor away. Draw the pivot bone towards the navel as we come into a forward fold. And then inhale, come back to neutral. Press into the hands, send the hips back towards the heels. Active through the hands, press the hands into the mat, spin the biceps up, reach the crown of the head forward. If you are upright and not sending the hips back, you'll be stacking the hips over the knees, otherwise hips back to the heels. And then we slide the hands back in towards the body, hug the elbows in towards you, slide the shoulders away from the ears, start to lift the head and feel as if you're trying to reach the crown of the head away from the tailbone as you hug the elbows in towards the body. And then press into the floor, feel the arm muscles engage, and then press yourself up. And actually just let yourself lower down again into this little mini press up here, and then press up again. Make sure it's the arms that are lifting you. Let's do 3 more of those. Press really strong in the arms. It seems like we shouldn't be feeling much because we're not lifting a lot, but it's really working in my arms. If you're really squeezing the arms in, turn the muscles on. 1 more. And then just open and close the palms. We've got a bit more of that to go, and we'll start to add some weight. So inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, we're going to fold forward, reach the arms forward. Inhale, we come into tabletop position, and then look forward, heart slides forward. Exhale, round through the spine, press the floor away, and then we're going to bring the forearms down to where the hands are. We'll just do a few little baby cat-cows here. So the inhale, we look forward. The exhale, the shoulders will move a little forward over the elbows as you round through the spine. Inhale. Belly drop, sitting bones lift, looking forward, shoulders away from the ears. And then exhale, rounding, rounding, rounding. Inhale. And exhale. Just hold here in this rounded shape with the forearms pressing into the floor. Feel the entire forearm press down. Feel the palm press down. Feel the upper back reach towards the ceiling. Give the head a little nod and shake. Check you're not tensing or gripping through the neck. And then come back to neutral. Reach the hips back towards the heels. Drag the arms back, nice straight arms. And again, walk the hands back in under the shoulders. And they slide a little further back, so they're coming back towards the elbows. Spread the palm nice and wide. Press into the floor. Lift the head, crown of the head reaching forward. And then press yourself up using the arms. Then inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, dive forward, palms flat. Inhale, lifting up into your tabletop position and go straight into our back bend. And then exhale to round through the spine, press the floor away, arching the back. On the inhale, we set the forearms down, elbows go about where the hands were, and look forward straight away. And then exhale, we round. And then come back to neutral. We're going to add on We're going to leave the shoulders over the wrists, but step the legs back. So we're in a low plank position, forearm plank. Now watch that the hips aren't sinking here. Press the heels away. We want to bring like a nice diagonal line between the hips, heels and shoulders. It's a little bit of work, so if you need to drop the knees to support you, go for it. And then I want you to feel here as if you're trying to roll your inner thighs up towards the ceiling. So we're not letting the ankles collapse in, trying to roll to the pinky side. Hug the muscles of the legs onto the bones. Stay with me, keep breathing. Then let the knees come to the floor, untuck the toes and let the hips drop. And we'll be in our Sphinx pose now. And for some of us, our shoulders might be a little further forward of the elbows, so just slide the elbows a little further forward, press the top of the feet into the mat and press the pubic bone down so we feel the tailbone start to lengthen. Forearms are pressing into the floor, and then feel as if you want to pull your hands back towards the hips and feel that space behind the heart, behind the chest, move forward and a widening across the front of the chest. Different again from our yin pose. In yin we turn everything off. When we're doing our flow, we're working nice and strongly into the muscles. And watching here, also like in our plank, that you're not letting your heels roll in. We want to feel the inner thighs move up, so we create space in the SI joints, protect the lower back. And then gently lower down, slide the hands back behind you. Feel your abdominal muscles and your ribs tuck back. Draw the elbows in towards you. Keep pressing the top of the feet into the mat. Keep reaching the crown of the head away. Hands feel like they want to pull back towards the hips and the heart move forward. And then just see if you can lift the hands away from the floor. Building some strength in those lower back core muscles. Don't forget to breathe. Press the hands into the mat. Draw the navel back. Lift yourself all the way back to the heels. Slide your straight arms back so that the shoulders slide away from the ears. And then slide the hands back outside of the knees. Press into the hands to lift you up. And we're going to move all of that together. So inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, palms down. Inhale, come up to your tabletop position. Look forward straight away. Exhale, press the floor away, hug the arms towards each other, press the upper back to the ceiling. On the inhale, we look forward, we set the forearms down into a baby cow pose. And then exhaling, arch the back. Inhale back to neutral, and then step the feet back. Finding our low plank. We'll hold this for 3 breaths. Inner thighs roll up towards the ceiling. Front body draws along towards the front of the mat. Knit the front ribs in. Tailbone dragging down towards the heels. Quads are squeezing on. Lower the knees if you haven't already. Untuck the toes. Let the hips sink. Maybe you slide the elbows a little further forward. And then feel as if you want to draw those elbows back towards the hips. Bring your hands back behind you. Hug them in towards the ribs. Lift the chest a little more. Press the top of the feet into the mat. Lift the kneecaps. Squeeze the quads on. And then we're going to bring the hands out in line with the shoulders here. Roll the shoulders back and down. Find a little bit of length in the back of the neck, as if you're trying to lift the back of the neck towards the ceiling. Pressing the top of the feet down, press the pubic bone down. Inhale, lift the chest a little. And then exhale to lower, and it could be just an inch or so. Inhale and exhale. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Slide the hands back behind you. Press into the hands. Hug the elbows towards you. Lift yourself all the way back. Take a couple of breaths here. We're going to flow with that one more time before we add on. Hands back, using the arms to lift you. The place at the back of the neck where see the tiger pick up her cub, just lift that up to guide you up. Slide the shoulders away from the ears, lifting up. One more round like that. Inhale up. Exhale, we fold forward, hands out in front, up into your tabletop position. Looking forward, belly drop, sitting bones lift. Exhale to round, press the floor away, arch the back. Inhale, set the forearms down out in front of you and look forward as you're taking that shape. And then exhale to round. Inhale, set the feet back. Find your plank position, and it could be with the knees to the floor. Front body draws towards the back body. Crown of the head is reaching away from the heels. Inner thighs rolling up. Building that heat. And then set the hips down. Untuck the toes. Press the top of the feet into the mat. Press the pubic bone down. Slide the forearms a little further forward. We want to find a nice curve through the entire spine rather than just in the lower back. We want to feel as if we're trying to press the space between the shoulder blades gently forward to broaden across the front of the chest. And if it feels too much in the lower back, draw the navel back. And then let the torso lower, hands slide back behind you. Hug those elbows in. Top of the feet is still pressing, pubic bone pressing. Find length rather than height here. And if lifting up into that moving cobra that we're going to do next feels too much, then just stay with this. Reach the arms out so they're out in line with the shoulders. And think of the hooded cobra. So we want to lift from the back of the neck. Torso becomes the cobra. Exhale to lower. Inhale, we're looping the shoulders down the back. And one more. Hands coming under the shoulders again, or a little further towards the rib cage. Squeeze the muscles towards each other. You're going to tuck the toes this time. Press into the hands. Send the hips back towards the heels with the toes tucked. Press into the hands, spread the palms nice and wide, turn the biceps up towards the ceiling, ears in line with the shoulders. And then come back into your tabletop position. You're just going to step the hands a little further forward. Now all of that work we were doing in the arms is important here because we're going to start to really load into the arms. So spread the palm super wide. Feel that inner hand press down to the floor. Turn the biceps to the front of the mat and hug that imaginary block. We're going to press into the feet and send the hips up and back. And pedal out the feet here. Our downward dog. So you can bend the knees a lot and then tilt the sitting bones up towards the ceiling. And often here we collapse into the ribs, so just draw those front ribs back. occur, trying to draw the shoulders up towards the hips and the crown of the head towards the space between the hands, so that we create a lot of space between the ears and the shoulders. Check in your mind's eye and see that you're squeezing that imaginary block between the forearms, building strength in our arms. Anytime it's too much, just drop back to the knees. And then we're going to make our way into standing. So often you've got to bring the fingertips of one hand onto the floor, so you get a little bit more length or blocks under the hands, and step 1 foot forward. And then same thing with the other side, onto the fingertips. And it could take you a dozen steps to get to the front of the mat. Look down at your feet and see that they're parallel to each other, and they can be really wide here to give you a bit of relief in the hamstrings, or they can be toes touching. Just hang forward here for a few breaths. Nod the head, shake the head. Shoulders can slide up around the ears here, letting go of any effort in the arms. You could even turn the palms to face up. You could be resting your forearms onto the thighs. Just check in here and notice where the feet are. Look down at the feet and see that they're parallel to each other, that the heels aren't turned in and the toes aren't turned out. And then notice, do you tend to lean the weight back into the heels or into the toes? See if you can find that middle ground. And then, like a rag doll, we're going to roll up vertebra by vertebra, and you can let your hips sink a little heavier down towards the floor. Keep the upper body heavy, rolling up bit by bit by bit. Until you come all the way to standing. Again, back to stacking the crown of the head up over the bowl of the pelvis. Pubic bone draws towards the navel, front ribs knit in, and then feel the muscles of the legs hugging onto the bones. And then I'll turn and face you. We're going to take a little standing flow. So we're going to inhale, sweep the arms up, arms come to touch, and then bring the hands down through the midline, soften the knees, dive forward, leading from the heart. The hands can come back behind you to curl you in. And then the inhale, bring the hands onto the shins, crown of the head reaches forward. Exhale to fold in again. And then same thing here, we'll sink into the hips and we'll just roll up vertebra by vertebra. Straight away, squeeze the legs on, anchor the tailbone, raise the arms up. And then exhale, dive forward, leading from the heart. You can bring the hands back behind you to guide you in a little closer. Squeeze the front ribs towards the back ribs. Hands come onto the shins. Nice long spine. Lift the back of the neck and draw the shoulders towards each other. Exhale, fold in and bend the knees as much as you need to. Release the work in the upper body, and then just vertebra by vertebra by vertebra, rolling up. Just a little quarter sun salutation. And then we'll inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, dive in. Hands to the shins, find length in the spine. Exhale to fold. Rolling up. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Don't let your knees fall wide. Keep the work in the feet. The spine is slowly stacking. And then engage the muscles of the legs. Squeeze them onto the bones. Inhale. And then exhale, fold. Curl in. Hands come to the shins to find length in the spine. This time as we exhale, we're going to come back down into a downward dog. fingertips to the floor, soften the knees, step one foot back, flatten that palm down, set the other palm down, come back to your downward dog, just pedaling the feet out. And then rock forward into a high plank position this time. Knees can come down, spin the biceps to the front of the room, shoulders slide away from the ears, and all of that can be done with the knees down. Nice big full breath. Last little bit of heating. Often we collapse into the hips, or often we lift the hips too high. So looking again for this diagonal line between the shoulders, hips and heels. Inner thighs are rolling up, front ribs knitting towards the back ribs, puffing the space between the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling a little. Lift the back of the neck, lower the knees, toes together, knees apart if that's okay on your knees, and just coming into child's pose. Cross the forearms, rest the forehead down. You could do that in an upright position as well for those of you who aren't comfortable in the knees. And then bring the hands back in under the shoulders, press yourself up. Knees come back together. And we'll just come into a seated position again. You can sit onto your blocks or your props or not if you're comfortable. And cross the awkward way. So for me, I naturally want to cross the right leg in front of the left. So take the way that feels like you have to think about. Again, active through the legs. Hug the toes towards the knees. Find that nice long spine. And we've worked a little more into the core muscles now, so maybe they're a little bit more engaged. Lift the crown of the head up. And we'll finish seated today. So see if you can come back to that original breath. Let the breath slow down a little. You close the eyes down or drop the gaze down, but keep the crown of the head lifting up. And then even inhale and even exhale. And the length of that breath may have changed from what you started with. Keep reaching the crown of the head up, sitting bones rooting down, feeling that connection between earth and sky. Just 2 more cycles of that Samavriti breath. Even inhale, even exhale. And then letting go of any control of the breath. Bringing the palms to connect. Namaste.